Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. My name is Leonard Brackett. This is the Belizean Affairs Show number 347. 347. I'll be your host for tonight, being Friday. And tonight's program is going to be dedicated to our people and country of Belize, both those at home and abroad, as well as to our country of Belize. Since that we were in the festivity season for the independence of the country, as well as our original uh, conquest day that gave us the right to have a legitimate 200 plus years of control over our territory of Belize, formerly the colony of British Honduras, and before the colony of British Honduras, the Bay Colony. Uh, I'll follow the same practices as we do during the course of our programs. That is that I'll go ahead and say a short prayer, after which I'll do a short Bible reading, and then we'll launch the program formally. So I'll just bow my head and say a short prayer. Divine loving Father, thou who art our Creator, thou who art the Creator of heaven and earth and all that in them are, into thy hands we commend ourselves. We pray that thou mayest accept our humble expression of gratitude, first of all, for having given us the privilege of life, and secondly, for the opportunity to still be alive today among our family members, friends, and loved ones, as well as the privilege to launch this 347th program. We pray that thou mayest give us some wisdom, knowledge, understanding, endurance, perseverance. Please protect us, guide us, help us that whatever we have to say may accrue some public benefit, positive benefit to our people and country as we dedicate this tonight program to our people and country of Belize. We also pray that thou would bless our country and people of Belize as well as the leaders of our country. We pray that thou must bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership as well. We also ask thee, loving Father, that thou would bless our family members, friends, and loved ones, each and every one of them, then rest them by name and number. We pray that thou mayest bless the rest of humanity as well, especially those people who are in harm's way, who are being killed and maimed, sometimes for no justifiable reason. We pray that thou mayest have mercy upon them, loving Father. We pray that thou mayest grant those who have need of food and clothes and shelter, that they may be able to have some reprieve from their daily needs and the endeavors of their daily travails. Please be with us now and always, for we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much for allowing me to indulge in our prayerfulness. Um, I'll read a portion of the scripture here from Proverbs. I'll read Proverbs chapter 6, starting at verse 1. My son, if thou be surety for thy friends, if thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger, thou art snared with the words of thy mouth, or thou art taken with the sword, with the words of thy mouth. Do this now, my son, and deliver thyself when thou art come into the hand of thy friend. Go, humble thyself, and make sure that thy friend go humble thyself, and make sure that thy friend give not sleep to thine eyes, nor stu- nor slumber to thine eyelids. And that is the end of our reading for tonight. we see that we have quite a bit of accidents still going on in the country, as well as a whole lot of extra mayhem, a lot of police brutality and misbehavior, committing crimes under the color of law, abusing the power vested in them to be law uh, individuals who are supposed to be entrusted with the safety and well-being of the society, instead of going out there and abusing the authority vested in them, beat people down, beat up people. Apparently, for the fun of it, somehow they get some kind of a satisfaction out of that type of behavior. And it seems to them like, because there's no accountability that they would be brought to, that they have a free hand to misbehave and then go to their offices or their police station and write up bogus report that does not jive with their conduct on the street. In other words, they're basically acting as scofflaws. But that is not the only problem we have in our country. In our country, we also have the people who are in leadership, who are acting as scofflaws. They break the law. They encourage others to break the law. And those who have money, if they are caught and are taken before a judge, they can get bail, as compared to those who don't have money, don't get a bail, they have to go and sit down in the jail. And those who are rich and who have money can have the best of lawyers to plead their case for them. As the head of the prison once stipulated, he has seen people go to jail for major crimes, and in less than a week they're out on bail, which should not be. But that he has no idea how is it that it works or how it turns out like that. So we have a lot of ills going on in our country, and then we have among ourselves, the people of our country, individuals having beef with each other, and instead of trying to find a way to resolve it, they take it up an extra notch or at a higher level where they become physically confrontational, sometimes with weapons, all manner of mayhem. Our country is too small. It should not be afforded the kind of craziness that's going on. But if we don't have proper leadership, what do you expect of those who follow? As we're in the festivities, as I said earlier, I wanted to dedicate tonight's 347th Belizean Affairs show. And I'm going to be dealing with issues, historical issues, as well as crimes committed by neighboring countries against us, as well as crime committed by our leaders in cahoot with some of those neighboring countries. I don't know if they think that these countries are going to love them more than they love themselves, or love our people more than they love their people, when they're actually claiming our country and they want to turn our country into a 23rd department of their country. And our leaders are going to bend over backwards and criticize our local Belizean people for getting upset at what's going on, having anything to say about it or anything to do about it. In other words, they sit in the corner, cowering in their boots, as unpatriotic. So, let me say this first before I even continue. Tonight's program is going to be kind of a crazy program, okay? I'm telling you that up front. So you don't be surprised when you hear me go off, and look like I'm losing my temperament or my sensibilities, because at this point, I'm so aggrieved that is the state of mind that I have currently. I'm frustrated. I'm upset. I'm upset at what's going on with our country internally as well as externally. And I don't have much means by which to be able to make a difference. or help to make a difference, other than by speaking to people, reminding people about certain things. In other words, trying to create a sense of fortitude in the minds and hearts of people by being empowered with information, and more than all, not just information, but truthful information, effective information. Because with the truth, we can do a lot. With information, we can do a lot. With knowledge, we can do a lot. But when you don't know, and you don't even do a lot, but you do a little, the little that you do may not be enough to keep you safe. I have an article here that I would like to read. So let me just get on with it. Don't say I didn't give you a warning. You see how fierce they get, right? When I say that. Up front, I'm telling you that I might end up misbehaving. So please don't be surprised. But I got to do what I got to do. I can only do what I can to the extent of my limitations. I don't have the solution to all the problems. I don't have all the knowledge and understanding. I don't wield any other political powers to make things happen. I'm a constitutionalist, so I try to press the government to operate within the Constitution and the bounds of the Constitution. But even they don't do that. There's a bunch of scofflaws, okay? They come and tell us right up into our face that tough luck for us. They got elected and re-elected, and they're going to do just about what they want. And if we don't like it, so what? They run show. I was about to try and imitate Mr. Jules Vasquez, but I'm not too good at imitating other people, But at least I'm going to try and say the words. Mr. Jules Vasquez have a penchant of stating that the government, both under UDP and PUP, they have this attitude that they display, right? And they start and they act as if they are not accountable to the people whose government they are actually managing. They act like they are managing their own affairs. And they treat people with such level of disdain and dismissiveness to the point of Mr. Jules' statement where he says, they're the people of the government, they run things wrong here, not the public. So therefore, we got to take whatever they show. But I'm going to continue. Just give me a second. Let me pour a little bit of juice here so I could wet my tongue every once in a while. No, because like I said, tonight going to be one of those nights. Going to be hot under the collar. I'm going to be talking a lot. And more likely than not, besides talking a lot, my breath going to get kind of hot. Oops. Okay. I dropped one of my phones. I'm trying to get this stuff set up. Besides that, before I do my reading, when I finish pouring my juice, I'm going to take about 30 seconds or so just to launch the other part of the platform, because there are other people who are supposed to be getting access to the other platform to follow us, and I'm going to have to take the time to be able to afford them that opportunity. So for those of you who may be on already, please bear with us. Give me the extra time that I need to do my housekeeping. So, like I said, I'm going to take a little liquid first before I continue talking. All right. And then the next move is I'm going to go ahead and launch the other part of the program for other viewers. So these are 4-minute opportunities, as I said earlier. Okay. And then I gotta go and edit. What's the editing? I'm gonna. Okay, I'm getting there. Give me a second. Three, four, seven. So, okay, just a minute. 19. Okay. Okay, so I guess that part is finished. Put that away. Then, okay, so now I'm going to get back to the formal program. Thank you very much for um, bearing patient with me just now while I was launching the other stuff to the next people so that they can follow us as well. And then now I'm going to go ahead and get into the formal part of the program. Mm, okay. Okay, I got it. A while back, let me double check the date. I think it was September 18th of 2021. I wrote an article and I titled it, They Never Saw Eye to Eye. Let me see, I'm not sure if this is one I want to. Okay. They never saw eye to eye. I labeled this particular essay, and I also stipulated and put it out for public use. I said it is free as of January 21st of 2023 to share and use at will for public use, public education, public domain document, and notice. At the time why this particular essay came up is because there was a discussion being had between myself and quite a few other individuals, some of whom I may go ahead and name. One gentleman, Mr. Bilal Morris, our good friend. Another good friend of ours, Mr. Michael N. Lindo. Mr. Gregory Morrison, another very good friend of ours too. Mr. Norman Fairweather, Mr. Mario Lara, Mr. Joseph Roca, Mr. Bruce Barnett, Ms. Heather Don, Mr. Glenn Tillett, now deceased, and Miss Aria Lightfoot, as well as others. I went on to say the following commentary was made by Leonard Brackett to Mr. Gregory Morrison as historical clarification, enlightenment to Mr. Bilal Morris' Facebook comment on Honorable Mr. Philip S. W. Golson and Honorable Mr. Dean Linder leadership of the opposition. I'm tempted to believe that I should probably postpone this particular item or change it for something else. And then I'll probably be able to bring this up at another date, not too distant in the future, probably more likely next week. And so let me just back out of this for a second here quickly. Oh no. Okay. Let me see quickly. There it is. Okay. Okay, back up a little bit. Please give me another second and back up a little bit here. So I gotta go into my story archive to pull up this next item. Okay, so this particular item here is a little different than the one I was going to use just now. This one was dated September 17th of 2023. The following comments, text, were made between Leonard Brackett and Will Flores and J. Rivera as part of a thread on Belize Elementary School school parade on a Facebook post about Belize school children parading on Guatemala's Independence Day, which was the 15th of September of 2023. Instead of parading on Belize's Independence Day, which is the 21st of September, or on the 10th of September, which is Belize's most long-lasting patriotic day, / independence from Spain. Our triumph at the Battle of St. George's Key gave us the right to occupy the territory we call our home, our patrimony, and country of Belize. Celebrating Independence Day of Belize and Guatemala's Independence Day, which is our mortal enemy, should be constituted or perceived at the least as a travesty, if not treachery. On the first text in that particular back and forward, or text number 1, Mr. Will Flores stipulated the following: you could celebrate Belize anytime you want, even on September 15th. This has nothing to do with Guatemala. I don't see how he arrived at that particular conclusion, that is to say, that to celebrate on the 15th and to have our children celebrate the 15th when we have a mortal enemy next door to us who is claiming our country, that should be all right for us to teach our kids that celebrating those people's Independence Day, rather than having them come out and celebrate our Independence Day, is a more appropriate endeavor. Nevertheless, I went on to say to Mr. Will Flores, Mr. Will Flores, then on 21st of September, Belize Independence Day, instead of September 15th, which is Guatemalan Independence Day, would constitute the action of a fifth columnist or a pro-Guatemalan facilitator or a traitor. Guatemala Guatemalans do not celebrate their Independence Day on the 21st of September, which is Belize's Independence Day from the British. On the 21st of September of 1981 AD, some 40 odd years ago, Guatemalans do not celebrate their independence on the 10th of September. British Honduras colonies independence from Spain on the 10th of September 1798 AD, some 225 plus years ago. They could have called it, being the day that they wanted to celebrate at that time that we were arguing about, they could have called it the March Parade, or as per Mr. George Price's birthday parade. But they would not desecrate or dishonor Mr. Price's legacy or memory with a pro-Guatemala activity on that particular day, and to encourage all the schools in our school system throughout the country to participate in such endeavor as the 15th of September on Guatemala's particular Independence Day. Belize's greatest national significance celebratory day, for example, was the 10th of September celebration, or centenary, as it used to be called, in commemorating our liberation or Independence Day from Spain. That is, after the Battle of St. George's Caye, the Spaniards never returned to Belize to put up another fight. They had come to Belize a few times before. In one occasion, they were able to successfully overcome the people living in Belize, and they took some of them to Cuba, and others went into the hinterlands, up into the Maya Mountains and into the Petén area, and others went over towards the Mexican area. Many others crossed the seas, went to Vanaca Island, Ratan Island, to Blue Fields in Nicaragua, Trujillo in Honduras, and they also went to the Black River settlements in Nicaragua, and others went to Jamaica, after which they returned back to Belize when the Spaniards left. And when the Spaniards came back the other time, they beat them. They got together and they beat the Spanish, which then became the 10th of September celebration that we used to celebrate for all these years, decades and decades. Even though there's this issue that some of our own Belizean people claim that there was no battle, there was no emancipation, there was no conquest, nobody didn't die. They come up with all kind of shenanigans to try and imbue in the minds of the younger generation that it's a myth. The Battle of St. George's Caye was a myth. If it was a myth, then how the Spaniards never returned for a second whipping in those days? No. What they did is they entered into agreement because of the battles of the saints, St. George's Caye, St. Kitts, St. Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Domingo, Santo Domingo, and all those places. They were having wars among themselves. The British, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the French, all of them. And then after, because they wanted to cease their warfare, they went to the Palace of Versailles, and they had a treaty. And as a result of that treaty, it was decided that some of the British people would move from Honduras and Nicaragua and add to the ones that were already in Belize and expand Belize all the way to the Sarstoon. But they didn't only just stop at the Sarstone. They were actually all the way over to Livingston. And in the Cairo area, they were all the way back into Peten. So as a result of our agreement, when they had the 1859 Bangui Treaty, the reason why the Guatemalans they wanted that Bangui Treaty was to stop the people, what they used to call the filibusters and the BMN them, from taking over too much of Guatemala territory. Because Guatemala at that time was not a stable country. They were fighting with the other Central American countries to see if Guatemala was going to control all of them. So they wanted to have an agreement with the Bay people and the British them that was protecting the Bay people. And they entered into that agreement with their eyes wide open. They never gave nothing to Belize. They accepted a treaty that benefited them, which was to bring back the people that was in the Belize area proper, who were already merging over into Livingston, to bring them back across the river and to use that river as the boundary line. And while they were doing that negotiation, I think I don't remember the gentleman's name, but the one that was negotiating on behalf of Guatemala told the British that, or asked the British if they would consider to put a little extra sweetener into the deal, so that when he goes back to his people and talk to them, they can feel like he achieved a little bit more than, like he suckered the British. The British went along with them to help them develop a cart road. The British didn't take no undertaking to develop a cart road for them, as they are now in the modern era trying to lie with their revisionist history to the younger generation of Belizeans who are not supposed to know these things. They asked for a cart road so that they can do business with the British and the Belizean people them, or the people them, the Bay people them that used to be in Belize or British Honduras. Because Britain was also helping other countries economically. So they agreed that they were going to do the cart road, and the cart road would turn out to be the last article that they put into the agreement, which was Article 7, which they are beefing about. But when it came time, Guatemala was supposed to provide the workers and the materials in Guatemala for the road, and Britain was going to provide some money and some engineers. Guatemala was involved with a war at the time, and after they finished their war, then they came back to the British and they were trying to like browbeat the British into doing more, and the British said no. Then they wanted to collect a certain amount of money from the British, and the British said no, that was too much money. That's not the amount that they had promised. And then the British had a change of government as well. And so a lot of things get stalled. But at the end of the day, why are we currently at the ICJ under this bogus premise of a cart road, when in fact the cart road that was perceived or thought of back then to run mules and horses and carts on has been superseded by super highways, 4-lane super highways, modern highway from Guatemala to Flores Petén, and from Flores Petén to Melchor, and then from Melchor to Belize City, a 2-lane highway, which is much more superior to what was being requested back in those days in the 1880s, in the 1850s and 60s. The road that is now in place that they're actually doing commerce on has far surpassed. So why are our leaders allowing themselves to be hauled to the Hague, to the International Court of Justice, to go and contest half of a weak country. Why? Because the Guatemalans and their supporters compromised our leaders, suborned our leaders, and put them in a situation where they end up giving the Guatemala a chance at a second bite at the apple. So the Guatemalans, they wanted to repudiate the 1859 treaty. And under international law, that cannot be done by one party. It has to be an acquiescence or agreement between both parties. One party cannot annul a treaty. So now what they do is they come to the Sarstoon because now Belize is an independent country. It doesn't have a military to protect itself. It doesn't have a navy to protect itself. It doesn't have an air force to protect itself, which is why the United Nations told England that in order to give Belize independence, England would have to provide a defense mechanism for Belize. And England said, okay, well, they would provide it for a period of time. Well, that period of time has expired. While the British were in Belize, the Guatemalans never dare put a foot in Belize or cross our borders. Or we never ever had the kind of problems like what they're doing right now, harassing the military, and because they have a much bigger and more powerful military and a much bigger and powerful Coast Guard. Guatemala is 30 odd times the size of population that Belize has. So we could never, even if we had the money, we could never develop an army and have enough personnel to be in that army to be able to fight against Guatemala or protect ourselves against Guatemala. So now what they're involved with, they encourage our leaders to distance themselves from the British. And now when they're distant from the British, they are now at the disposal of the Guatemalans, beck and call, and do, basically they're trying to get Belize into becoming a vassal state of Guatemala, if not their 23rd district. And our so-called leaders, both PUP and UDP, I don't know if when they go over there, they probably give them some truth serum to drink or some kind of stuff that mess with their brains and turn them into idiots for all intents and purposes, because that's how they're behaving. They're behaving like there's hired agents on behalf of foreign interests or foreign powers. Let me go ahead and continue reading this stuff. I'm sorry. Okay. Belize's greatest national significant celebratory day was the 10th of September celebration, or what we used to call the centenary, in commemorating our liberation or Independence Day from Spain as a result of the Battle of St. George's Key. On the 10th of September of 1798, which end the total the battles, as I mentioned earlier, that they used to call the Battle of the Saints, right? Because there were a lot of different people was fighting on. They used to call these places Saint this, Saint that, Saint whatever. After which Spain did not return to make any future claims to Honduras Bay or the settlement or colony of Belize, that is now known as the country of Belize. Belizean patriotism, long-standing, was thrown aside when they snubbed the 10th of September to not be Belize's Independence Day. In other words, the most appropriate day for our independence should have been, could have been, or ought to have been the most venerable day or celebratory day that celebrated the basis or the reason for us to be in Belize, which was the 10th of September. Instead, they snubbed that option or possibility, but instead chose to select 21st of September as a quoted hat tipping to Guatemala's independence commemorative salute, being the 15th of September of 1821, which, for all intents and purpose, the way we ended up with our 21st of September as our date was actually derived from a numerological process, which Mr. Price did not tell anybody and did not thought that anybody would have figured out. I'll explain to you what it was and what it was all about and how they arrived at it by following the same scientific numerological scheme or process. Okay, so here we go. Please listen. Guatemala had its Independence Day on the 15th of September 1821. Open bracket, a numerological translation logic could be 1 plus 8 is 9, okay, which is the 1821. Numerologically, you add the 1 and the 8 and you get 9, and therefore that becomes the 9th month, which is September. And you add the 21 day, which becomes the 21st date of that same month of September, which then led from the numerological schemes of being September 21st as the day for independence, which is one and the same as 1821, which was the date that Guatemala declared itself independence. Even though at the time they declared themselves independent, they had no possession of Belize. As a matter of fact, they claim that they should be able to inherit Belize because Belize should have belonged to Spain, and whatever belonged to Spain should have been theirs. That's the same stupid mindset that they had when they wanted to take over the whole of Central America so that they, the Guatemalans, would run the whole show, which is why their system broke down and the other countries took their own independence. Then they come up with this next funny idea to tell our younger generations that historically, Guatemala was the head of the captaincy for the Central American Viceroyalty Captaincy, and therefore they have the right to inherit any other territory that had belonged to Spain because they declared themselves independent and wanted to take anything and everything that belongs to Spain or should have been the property of Spain. They didn't take Belize because they had no control of Belize. They were not occupying or controlling Belize, and they had no way of taking Belize away from the Belizeans because the Belizeans at that time were already being helped by Britain to keep even the Spaniards then, or from Spain, from taking over Belize. Not just a little Bacatong place like Guatemala at that time in those old days, in the 200 plus years ago, that Guatemala was. Guatemala never dare put a foot in Belize. In fact, they signed that agreement of 1859 with the idea that that would have been beneficial to them, so that the filibusters would not go back over into their side at the proper of the lands, and that they'll stay on our side of the lands. There was a point in time in Guatemalan history when Guatemala wanted to go and take away Trujillo, Guanaca, Ratan, the Mestizo coast, the Black River settlements. Guatemala put together an armada and soldiers and everything, and they went to try and take those places back from under the control of Britain. And they were beaten badly by the Jamaican uh, military at the time, and the other people them from Black River area there. So all those things happened, but never one day Guatemala ever came to Belize. They could have come and take the same military force and come to Belize, trying to or wanting to invade Belize, but they never did. The only ones that did that was the one from Mexico. And after they got beat on the 10th of September, they never came back. And Guatemala never did try. Because the more powerful people in Mexico got beat, which were more powerful than Guatemala. So Guatemala lapped its tail between the foot and never contested nothing over there. Now that Belize is independent, and Belize is a small little country of some 400,000 to 500,000 people, and they have 16 plus million people, between 16 and 18 million people. Now they feel almighty and powerful, and they feel like they can just walk over Belize and do what they want. And they are getting assistance from, like I said, our own local Belizean government officials, both in PUP and UDP. That is the reason why the UDP is in the hole that they are right now, because of the same Belize-Guatemala issue that Mr. Barrow engineered, contrary to what he was recommended not to do. And he used the powers that he had available to him as the Prime Minister of the country, and rang and strung the process and stuffed that down with throat to get us to the ICJ on behalf of Guatemala. And for that, his party, the UDP, had to suffer its consequences, because they were told in no uncertain terms that kind of outcome is what was going to be had. They didn't care. They were riding high on the horse to the point where Mr. Barrow won 3 elections in a row and wasn't going to be contesting another one after that. All the foreign ministers, both PUP ministers, foreign ministers, and UDP ministers, got up on the rostrum and congratulating each other, in bamboozling the people and telling the people that they, as the foreign ministers and previous prime ministers, were in cahoot with the go to the ICJ agenda. Where are they now? Oh, we have so much money, they said, that we can buy the best lawyers. Our case is an ironclad case. Whereas now we have a case at the ICJ and they are not even attending to it adequately or properly. The very same present Prime Minister is spitting in the face of the gentleman, Mr. Jawaswicks, the top international lawyer that's supposed to be defending us or defending that case for us at The Hague. He's talking craziness that the man didn't even understand his assignment when he gave him an assignment over the Portico issue. And we Belizeans are sitting down at home, sucking our fingers and pretending like there's nothing important going on, I hope you had an idea as to how we end up getting 1821, which is Guatemala's Independence Day, to be our Independence Day as well. Numerologically, 18, the 1/8 representing 1 plus 8 equaling 9, the 9th month and the 21st day of the month. And that was like the tipping of the hat to Guatemala's effort to become an independent country. Okay? Okay, so that being deciphered, resulting in the 1821 AD, same as the year of Guatemala's declared independence, when in fact Guatemala declared its independence 1821, and Spain did not recognize that declaration of independence until 18 1863, 42 years after. Okay? So even though Guatemala had declared itself independent, it didn't have the blessing of Spain. For all intents and purposes, they were still technically and legally under the Spanish kingdom. Okay? They declared themselves independent, but their independence was not recognized from 1821 all the way to 1863, 64, 63, I think it was 63. So at the time when Spain gave them a recognition of their independence in 1863, they had already, I think it was 1864. Don't quote me because I'm not. Some of those dates are a little bit foggy right now. Yeah, but I'm saying before Spain recognized Guatemala's independence, Guatemala had already entered into agreement for our current boundary treaty by almost 5 years. Well, 4 years, 4 to 5 years. Because that treaty was signed the 30th of April of 1859. And they had additional exchange of notes or letters in 1860, I think it was 1863. So how can Guatemala own Belize when in fact prior to their independence being accepted by Spain, Spain had already acceded to Belize as a territory that they had no control over or any interest in. But the smart Guatemalans are going to come now with what you call revisionist, whitewashed history and pretend that somehow or another, because we, the modern Belizeans, weren't present back 200 and odd years ago, they won't come now with a slick revisionist history and put it to us that because we weren't there, their archive is telling them what we're supposed to accept, as if we don't have archives too, or we don't have people who do research. So a lot of our Belizeans now, the modern Belizeans, are some of the same people that came from across Guatemala that's outnumbering us in our own Belizean territory and ending up at the point now where they can actually outvote us because there's more of them than us. So for all intents and purposes, they can end up taking over our country just going through the democratic process. They don't have to fire a bullet. But yet they're at the Sarstoon, harassing our military, harassing our local unarmed population. And then they're coming on the Caribbean coast with their gunboat, parking their gunboat within our waters and daring us to do anything about it. They're coming, Chiquibull Forest and depleting the forest and other parts of the western border. They are aggressing us. And we, the Belizeans, I'm sorry, there's someone in the background. Let me check. I'm sorry, I was going on and I wasn't paying proper attention. I'm sorry about that. Let me see.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Morrison. Have you been there for a long time, sir? I was ranting.
Yeah, I've been here for like half an hour.
Man, oh man, please accept my humble apologies, sir. Because I was initially when I first started, I kept on looking to see if you or Mr. Wade or anybody else would be coming on, no? To make sure I don't. And the same thing I was trying to guard against is what I ended up doing. Like
you are on quite a run. It was quite valuable information that you were sharing about the numerology of how they may have arrived at the 9/21 for our independence.
It was deliberate. It wasn't something that I'm surprised it didn't just accidentally pick a number out of the sky and it just happened. Or we had a justifiable reason to use that particular date because of some major significance. It was a hidden tip of the hat. But because I had gone on so long with you in the background and not having realized that I could have had you in before, and then maybe by now I would have been able to ask questions. Um, at least based on what you're saying just now, or intimating just now, it sounds like you at least heard a little part of what I was ranting on. So I'll stop my rant for right now. I have quite a bit more to go, but I want to defer and give you a little chance to, you know, give us an opinion or some ideas or some uh, perspective, your perspective, then let me call it like that. Give us some of your perspective as regards to what you understand those things to have been compared to how I was making my presentation, because it's to the benefit of the public. So I'll
Yeah.
yield to you, sir.
Okay, thanks, and good evening to all. I
You're
really
welcome.
don't have any knowledge of those data. My first understanding, I knew he had some belief in number systems,
Mhm.
but I had no idea how it was derived and how it correlated to Guatemala's Independence Day and or national independence for Belize 9/21.
It was never to be discovered, you know.
I'm going to Mr. Jose Coy, who was part of the People's United Party.
Mhm.
He's on another show that I, from time to time, and he was a minister in government, and he seems to have some idea. So I'm going to ask him. I'm going to run that by him to see
Uh,
if he will give me that same type of understanding.
um, I will say this to you. I heard his program, the last one they did at last night,
Mm-hmm.
Thursday,
Yes.
and I had seen another one that they did. I think you was on the previous one. I think it might have been the
Yes.
last one that you was on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they have the one last night specifically. I gave them an excellent on that one because everybody came prepared with their guns blazing. And the only thing, and I haven't said to anyone, I think I'm saying it to you for the first time now, and I didn't call in either because, like I said, I was listening to the whole show, right? Last
Yes.
night. There were some little bits and pieces of incidental uh, information that I don't know if they were not privy to or they just didn't have the chance or the opportunity because, you know, when you're on those shows, sometimes your thoughts, they go and come, no? And then
Yes.
you also have a situation where you can't make one statement and cover all the material that you'd like to be able to cover. You know, so some things get lost in translation, like they would say, or in the process of articulating or communicating, no? And then maybe sometimes too, they might not be aware of certain things because there were certain things that I know Mr. Corey was making reference to that he should have known or be able to make a different presentation or add a little more thing to, because like us,
Well, as I
he
said,
was there. He was in the belly of the beast. Okay, so
yeah,
he should have known some
yeah,
a little bit more.
yeah.
But
And
sometimes you
I'll
know a
talk.
bit more than you tell.
Yeah, I'll talk to him about those at another time. But
Uh-huh.
I wanted to say with regards to our 10th of September, I believe from what I've seen this last 10th of September in terms of celebration, I believe it was a bit better than in previous.
Right.
The disappointment I had was that both the Prime Minister and the Mayor of the city of Belize was out of the country on the occasion of the 10th of September. I thought
You
that
know.
was very disrespectful and disappointing as a matter of our national pride.
Mm-hmm.
And I contest also that at times some people regard the Battle of St. George's Key and the 10th of September as a Creole celebration.
Uh,
I think
Mr.
the
Marston.
majority of people, let me finish, sir.
Yes, sir.
The majority of people in Belize at that time was Creole. If
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't the Creole people that carried that banner, it would not exist today. It was
Mm-hmm.
the Creole people that in the majority fought and defeated the Spaniards. And I don't see that the people in Belize, the Latin people, the indigenous people, are in any way associated with the Spanish people of Spain that was ruling over Belize and over the entire Central America. They
Mm-hmm.
are as much a conglomeration of people and new people in the region because of the admixture that happened as
Mm-hmm.
much as the African and the Creole and the white people. So it wasn't them that was the battle against, and so it is totally a misalignment to kind of present those
It's a divide and conquer process,
yeah,
sir.
those
More than anything
indigenous
else.
people. Let me finish my thought.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Those indigenous people as as being at the end of the conquest that Belize and the Belizean and the Baymen and the African and the Creole people had fought against. And for many years in the early part of our celebration, Belize, the infusion of people that was involved in the celebration was of all ethnicity. We had the Latinized Creole Belizean people, if not by family and such, by
Mestizos.
by culture and such. They were Belizean. What we have failed to do today is in bringing so many people so quickly and without regards to our laws and such, we have failed to culturalize them into the Belizeanness that even George Price, I think, had hoped for. We
But
the,
that's intentional, sir.
well, maybe it is so, maybe it is so, but I don't know that it is in his planning because he was trying to build a Belize-ness, he said. Um, we have the practice that is going on. I think it's just by nature that some of it may be happening, just because this is done not only as you had mentioned by the People's United Party in bringing in so many Central Americans, starting first with the Caribbean Basin Initiative money that our government couldn't take its eyes off of by letting in the Honduran people and such that were warring amongst themselves. But it has continued not only as a little trickle, but a severe infusion with the indigenous people from the mountains of Guatemala that were
Hundreds of thousands.
seeing the civil war and their
Mhm.
murder as the Rios Montt
Right.
presidency was in full storm. So I'll yield in a minute. So I believe the Belizeanness of what we have has loosened itself. And so we need to somehow figure out proper immigration policies and stuff that will in fact bring about a recognition of what is Belize, because we have failed that. And later on, I'll just talk about some of the confrontation we face with the Guatemalan. But for now, I'm talking on the SARS student. But for now, I'll lead back to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morrison, for your lucid and very cogent input contribution to our show tonight. Like I said, tonight's show is about Belize and Belizeans and what's going on in our country. You know? That's what I prefaced the show with and dedicated tonight's show for. So, and I also give a little caution to the point that I'll probably be running off the rails because there are certain things that ails me, and when I get to some of those, I might be, misbehaving a little bit. So I didn't want people to just hear me or see me misbehave and not have any context within which I was attempting to even try to shield myself from ahead of time. But
Okay.
uh, the truth of the matter in regards to what's going on in Belize is something that we have always, from way back, even during Mr. Price's day, we always had this impression that, well, I shouldn't even go there because no, I don't want to go there. Let me leave that part alone. I'll beg to defer on that particular point that I was looking to stray into because I don't think it's merited. At this point, might be merited later on or some. But anyhow, um, it's not by accident, omission, or just oversight that what's happening in Belize is happening. It's all part of a much bigger process that is being foisted on the Belizean culture with the intent of changing the identity of what we knew Belize to have been. That is that the perspective is Belize should not be where it is. governed and or run by the people that are governing or running it. Belize should be a vassal state of Guatemala and or a 23rd district of Guatemala at the least. And that has been the agenda from the get-go. I'm way back 200 and almost 300 years now. I'm going way back past beyond the point where we actually won the Battle of St. Giles, which is 200 plus years. And when I made reference just now, I'm making reference to the point that when Belize was just being settled, okay, some 300 plus years ago, the people in Guatemala, the Castellanos, them, because they're the one, from the Castillans from Spain are the ones that conquered Guatemala, okay, and most of Central America. And the offspring of those conquistadors or those people are the ones that are now currently running Guatemala and who are actually trying to run the whole of Central America, as I stipulated a little earlier in the program presentation. The Castellanos are the ones that we, the Belizeans, really have a serious problem with. We don't have a serious problem as much as we really think with the average Latino or the average mestizo or the average Spanish person in Guatemala or any other part of Central America, for that matter of fact.
Or the indigenous people.
Right. We don't have any with the indigenous people.
Yeah, they come to Belize as refuge, and we're letting them in that it's now representing a danger and a threat to our sovereignty.
Well, because they come with a warrior mentality. They have had to fight the Castellanos and the rest of the Spanish over in Guatemala for hundreds of years just to preserve and keep what they have been able to keep.
And now they are claiming our country.
Right. And they are using our local indigenous people and fostering on our local indigenous people this warlike mentality and this attitude about confronting the government.
Not only warlike, but the claim of our country as communal land. And today we saw Miss Tracy dressed in all blue. So I'm just I don't know if it was today, but I saw the picture today. Attending this inauguration, and I just wondered, when we talk about fifth columnists within our government and our party and stuff,
we have it in both parties, Mr.
How these things really matter.
My records reflect that we have it in both parties.
Yeah,
and at the highest level, which is the tragic part,
Yes.
It's bad enough we have regular fifth columnists, people that come from across Guatemala there, and some of them are soldiers or their family and so on, and they come and settle in Belize proper, because we accommodate them. But they're there for a purpose.
Yes,
if and when anything happens, they're trained military people.
And some of these people are joining our military.
Yes.
I remember a few years back, the Guatemalan, we had the Belize government, and I'm saying we shouldn't have. We should be mindful. We had some of our soldiers go over to Guatemala and train by their military. And I don't know if we have such agreement with Mexico, but I would be cautious of that with Guatemala.
We have it with the Mexican Navy. We have it with the Mexican Navy, but not with the regular Mexican.
And I would be cautious of that, because just the problem we could be setting ourselves up as a country that has this outstanding claim by Guatemala against our country. And so, some of this stuff doesn't make sense, and I would like to be neighborly. We have to be respectful of Guatemala. We have to give them their due, and we have to somehow be able to work with them under all the conditions you pointed out, where they're 30 times or more our population. Their military is 2 or 3 times the size of our country.
They are using every leverage that they can pull to suborn us, to intimidate us. And they're not being neighborly. If they were trying to be neighborly like how we are trying to be neighborly, we'd live and coexist, and we'll. But they don't want to give us any impression that they're willing to tolerate us or love us more than they love themselves, or they love their people, or they love their country. To the extent that we are willing to knuckle under or to abide by their needs, and then things would work out all right. But if we are not prepared to let them heal us the way they want to heal us, then because even if the ICJ rules right now, for example, in our favor, Guatemala have no reason to justifiably say, okay, well, they want to just live with it and let bygones be bygones and just give up their ambition because it's in their constitution that Belize belongs to them and they will get it by reason or by force. They go into court right now is trying to use the basis of reason. But if they can't get it by reason, they'll take it by force.
Well, I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that we force ourselves.
At least 7 years among them people and themselves.
Yeah, I understand that, sir.
Like
but I'm hoping that's not the case. I can't speak from any factual basis. Like you said, you have been part of their culture and living situation. I'm hoping that the ICJ will in fact be a ruling that's favorable to Belize. From looking at how they have ruled in the past, I see no real reason unless we go and muck up the case or ourselves. We have the land by conquest. We have the land by continuous occupation. We have the land because it is separate and distinct from the boundaries and borders of Guatemala. We have the land because Spain agreed and Guatemala agreed to the boundary treaty that we have in part and in hold. And so for those reasons, I see no reason why any court should dispossess our people from this land that we have continuously occupied. But I'm also hopeful that we will properly represent ourselves there.
That's our problem.
Because that is, a court for the most part listens to evidence that's presented to it. Sometime in justice and in fairness, court may do their own research and may do their own implying of things to bring about justice. But I'm not sure of that. I remember just recently one of the ICJ judges ruled in a very crabby way about why the Gaza and Israeli situation and rights were denied, and it was based on some God principle that she had come up with, which has no basis in law or true common sense. So sometimes things get off the rail, and I'm hoping that none of this stupidness is allowed to flower in this upcoming ruling.
My biggest problem with our approach is we do not play our cards correctly with the British, and we try to distance them, and we try to take on this task on our own, when in fact we don't have the archives, we don't have all the necessary stuff to support us. We don't have the technical, the legal, we are short in so many ways.
Yeah.
Not to say the least that when we go to the court, to the Hague with the Guatemalans, they were the ones suing us. They were the ones putting forward their demands. And we are the one that, after they put their demands forward in 4 major volumes, thousands and thousands of documents and letters and all kind of reference. I mean, they got a treasure trove of information and stuff that we will have to be reacting to, for which we don't have a lot, or some of them we don't have even an answer.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping we know what to ask for, and I'm hoping we know. Yeah, I'm hoping we know what to ask for.
We should have been there with the British, and we're
but we're not. We're not, Mr. Brackett. So we have to deal with the situation where we're at.
It's like we go into a court with the hand in our pocket, look up to the court sitting above us, and they look up for the court, they look and we with pity and just solve for we problem, when we had an opportunity to present ourselves in the court with a proper defense.
Well, I'm hoping we're not, and I'm hoping we know what document to ask the British for, and I'm almost certain, and I'm hopeful that they will be willing to share those documents with us so that we could provide the adequate defense that we need.
Earlier,
the situation you mentioned of where we are and how things are with our Defense Council that was part of our team. I don't know how the situation after the prime minister had shut him down.
Mr. Assad Schuman, a communist.
Well, I don't know if a communist has anything to do
Let me finish the thought, though. Let me finish the thought so you can get the context of the reason for my saying what I'm about to say. Mr. Schuman, a known communist sympathizer, if not an outright communist himself, okay, because I had to deal with the man from in the 1970s, okay? So I know what I talk about in that regards, because I have his profile in my archive as well. So I know what he is and what he's about.
No problem.
Everything about the man. No problem.
Please go ahead.
So let me finish my thought then in that regard. He is the person that's heading up our defense right now at the Hague. He runs and controls the lever, just like how he may run and control the thing with Mr. Price when Mr. Price say, well, he read, but he never understand it. He authorized Schuman to go sign the documents on behalf of the country. Then he turn around when the people they gone up, when the people reject the thing. He fears by saying, well, he read, but he never understand it. So he left Mr. Schuman under the bus. He empowered Mr. Schuman as the plenipotentiary ambassador, right, on behalf of Belize, to negotiate and sign everything. From way back then, Mr. Schuman, the betray for we country and sign off on software when I go so. So the bottom line is that that's the gentleman now that for we government, Mr. What's his name? Mr. Briceño as the head of the government, because I mean, not only just him that the foreign ministers them and all and put together, no, but that him that the one who run the show, right? That the man where Mr. Briceño the hope want save for we there. Then people over there no respect communism or nobody have communist ideology. Okay? No, okay, well, smart to smart. The Europeans do not as a group. And that's where most of those top lawyers are coming from or judges are coming from on the International Court of Justice. Most of them are European. A few of them are Africans and from other countries. But, you know, that out of the 15 who want to sit for week case, they don't pick mostly Caribbean and or maybe Indian or maybe other people from other South.
No, I understand. It's an institution that's just now letting us in to some degree. Yeah. It was never designed to fulfill the wishes and aspirations.
Look many other small countries people have been taken to the Hague and tried. How many other big countries people have been taken there? In fact, they don't even respect they declare that they don't have no. America doesn't recognize them. Japan didn't recognize them. China don't recognize them. Everybody that has serious powers.
Well, we know that organization, the United Nations, the Hague, the World Bank, all these organizations were set up just to control the upcoming countries. They were never intended to give us full rights and providence over even our resources or anything of that nature. They were intended to restrict us and to exercise the global power of the West, but not to consider any of those things. So you know they're muted in some ways, but and they will shrug off from them whenever it suits them. And when they want to condemn or to hold us into a grip, any country, they said the United Nations voted, the World Bank made this decision, the ICJ made this decision, but they themselves will not put themselves and their jurisdiction under these power when they rule in a way that it contravenes their will and power.
Mm-hmm. How, for example, do you think that Belize will be able to answer to any of the archival information that Guatemala has in its archive? You know,
sir, I'm not relying on Belize to have the documentation. I don't believe we have had devastating fires and hurricanes
Yes, but give me a second. Give me a chance.
No, but
There's something I try. I
you're
was
going to
trying
a
to.
mute point. You're going to a mute point. We do not have the documentation. We do not have these documents. This document has to be sourced from the United Kingdom or from Jamaica, where documents were kept and
I'm
they
saying
have
to you,
been
sir.
preserved and could have been preserved.
Mr. Marson, I'm saying to you and our listeners, okay, in general, Guatemala has archival capabilities and potentials, as well as information in their archives that's from way back, originally long before Belize was even occupied, as well as they have archival materials that up to recently have been doctored. We Belizean have no way of disproving that and or be able to validate or like the British should be able to counter that kind of stuff. We don't. We don't have that capability. We should have been aligned with the British to be able to back us up at every step of the way. And that is what I think our major failure lies. Okay? Seriously. We cannot go there
I think in
expecting
telling me that I'm in full agreement with you. That's what I'm saying. Belize have lost a lot of its valuable records in various fires on Albert Street in the
right,
past, the court fire, where all our documents were kept, registry, all those documents were lost. And we had hurricanes, a couple of very devastating hurricanes. We just kept those things in a
all the more we needed to have the British at our side at every step of the way.
So that's the
If
point.
not,
And
at least as a partner or as somebody where we could lean on for guidance or for we local Belizean leaders. They want to be leaders and they want to lead us, but they don't have the wherewithal to be able to be the leaders in these kind of circumstances to come to our defense or to defend us. And that's part of what like I say, it ails me, it bothers me. Because they're leading us down this path with a merry tune and nothing else behind it. And we can't go to the court just on the basis of pity and these people have to rule, like you said earlier, on the basis of facts in the context of their law and legal practices. We have to prevail at the highest court now at the Hague with substance, not just hopefulness and prayerfulness or wishful thinking. We got to deliver the goods. We have to give these judges something that they can hold on to in order to, even if they want to give us a break. Right?
Well, I had hoped that the Prime Minister, in his speech on the State of the Nation and all those, would from time to time address us. This is coming to a conclusion. It's coming near to a conclusion. It's that part of his address would be to the nation to tell us where, in real, meaningful, documented way, where things are, how we're progressing. But
these guys are playing us all for a bunch of suckers, okay?
Yeah.
Whatever will happen, and they will just wash their hand and move on. That's it. That's their approach.
Well. I'm hoping that we can hold them accountable somehow to give us. It's even when they go out and sign treaties and memorandum of understanding. My hope is that they would come back to the people and that they would inform us of what these agreements are. Not just we signed this and it's this, but the details of what they signed, what it means for us as a country, as a people, what we should derive from it. What did we forego in making this agreement? I hope they would start looking at the citizens and the people with some serious.
They don't like that, though, sir.
Well, I understand.
I have the same hope that you have in that regards, right? I'm 100% with you on that. But unfortunately, that's not the mindset type of people that we're dealing with. They are going to do what they want to do.
They made it clear we have no talent, right?
You know what? Sorry.
And we have no talent, and we do not press our government. We do not continually, after an election, we do not seek to have our government explain itself to us.
They don't respect the people, sir.
Yeah.
They don't respect the people. I mean, even if they don't respect the people, though, where the hell is their one country? I mean, they're a human being as well, I saw these guys came out and made a big rally and a big shenanigan. Well, I shouldn't call it shenanigan, but a big support when Israel started bombing the Palestinians them, okay, and the Lebanese them. Well, of course, a lot of them are Lebanese too, or from Lebanese
Yeah,
offspring, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
they could come up with such empathy on behalf of those people, which all humanity should have had the ability to muster some kind of empathy in that regards, right? But how come they on beef we leaders, the suborn for we power countries powers to a situation now where part the Israelis are looking on us as a potential Guatemala takeover, and for them to support because we, the people of Belize, are now stigmatized with the idea that we are anti-Israeli or anti-Jews or anti-Semitic or whatever or whoever, because they unto themselves have a
Well,
lot of craziness that they do,
Guatemala and
right?
Israel have always had a long
Right,
relationship,
right.
and when smuggling and everything and training, the Israeli have
The-
for train. He trained the
yeah,
death squad. They
Guatemala.
trained the death squad that was
Yeah, killing up
roaming
all
and
the people.
killing the indigenous people in Guatemala
Forget
back
their
in
land,
the
forget
80s.
their land, give it to them.
Yeah. So we know that history. We know that history is deep, and we know that history is
But
part of the surrogacy.
people,
We know that history is part of the surrogacy of the United States.
but our
So
people in
so
Belize are not connecting these dots.
well,
Unfortunate,
that we do that at
and
our own peril. We do that. We
they
fail.
keep voting for these people and empowering these people to continue their shenanigan at our detriment.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like you said, we keep voting for them. We keep doing the same thing, but we keep doing it in a unified way because this treachery and this situation of inner betrayal has been on both sides. It
Mhm.
has been on the we went to ICJ under UDP. We had the uh, what you call it when we gave them a part of our territory, or we decided
Maritime areas up.
Maritime Areas Act under the UDP. It
We
seemed
have over a dozen different major crisis points that I had listed in one of my essays that I did. I don't remember which one it was and how to come up with it quickly, but I recall I brought up about the um, 13 proposals, the 17 proposals, the heads of agreement, the 1991 delimitation of the territory, the special agreement that they gave them,
yes.
the Maritime Areas
Yeah,
Act,
right,
you
right.
know, the 2000 Ramphal, Waika Ramphal proposals, all
Hmm.
these things the Guatemalans they have and we have acceded to and given them like little things in an fabs or in an back pocket that they could pull out at the ICJ, and we have no way to overcome it because we
Yeah,
acceded to those.
we seem to always be
So
hoodwinked.
Guatemala will not come out of this, Belize not come out of this unscathed.
Yeah, no, we seem to have
We would
always
accept it
been giving up a little bit, a little bit, a little bit.
because we
In
see that these
start,
people are paying, they are willing to take a little bit and just stop with this craziness. These people are
yes,
going to take the
yes,
little bit now and then take the rest later.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we leaders, either they don't understand that or they could care less because then, they
Well,
are traitors, man. Maybe
yeah,
we have to put them at Bridgefoot and tie them up and flag them and leave it.
yeah. In the old days, they used to tar them, right?
Uh, Tar and feather there, no?
Yeah. No, we do have some serious issues, and as we approach this our 44th anniversary of our independence, we do need to take stock of our country and where we stand as a people, where our government is leading us. We need to be able to face them more with questions. Um, we have
And,
we
and,
have
and
so much
they are getting worse. They are getting worse. They're not even
we,
improving.
yeah, we have had so much situation that has, when you look at it in part and in summation, it looks like some type of treachery and treasonous and just
Without cause, though, Mr. Morrison, without cause, sir. There's
Mhm.
no justifiable cause or reason why these gentlemen have to treat our people like that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
I don't know. I don't know. It could be.
That's
It
the
could.
part that baffles me.
Yeah. 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 You're right. It is without known cause. They have whatever
I like how
little.
you qualify that one just now. No one.
Yeah. Yeah. They have their own little agenda going on, and it
Yeah.
seems to be
It's sad, though.
a part, something that's happening on across the board on the political spectrum. Like
Mhm.
there's, it's like in the United States where we have the Republican and the Democrats, and we keep thinking that somehow for the people, that we should have better. But the reason we don't have better is that the person that's paying the funding for both those parties are the same businesses. So you're not gonna get a true change. You may
But the
get
same masters, no?
you may get some semantics in speaking. You may get some
Sorry.
some some um, some sort of little flowery thing at one party, while one party will not mince it and will
Mhm.
tell you straight up what they want to do. They want to take away your social security. They want to privatize it and have it invested and have you at one time when the economy is rupture, your payments go down and things like that. You
Talking
know,
about the social security point, right? You know them guys that believe then they squeeze the social security. Okay, the more people who work that believes, the more money get paid into social security. But then have the system set up in such a onerous ways that very few people qualify for getting money from social security, which means that most of the money has been paid in or had been paid in from before till now. Very little of it has been paid out. Most of it is in investment or waiting to be invested by preferred persons.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
a damn scam.
yeah, yeah.
No, they want over here to talk about, well, they want to privatize the whole thing. They got a few $1 trillion is what they talk about, you know.
No,
They
no, yeah,
want to put in somebody pocket, right? You
yeah,
know, one
yeah,
of them big
yeah,
business house pocket, make
yeah,
them manage it and
yeah.
cream off a few billion off at the top every year for themselves and for give out to, because the way government is going over here
But,
now,
but yeah,
it's not a
but
matter of suborning, you know, it's about how much can come back. You only get permit to do what you need to do if something will come
mhm,
back.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Down to the extreme.
Yeah. No, so those are some of the problems that I see in terms of where we are in terms of how the government has viewed the 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 people. And so I'm hoping that at some point we, because they are not going to change unless we, as we are doing in programs like this and others and across the spectrum of beliefs, educate the people so that they can then realize that the government is accountable to them, that they have a right to question their
To that
elected
specific point,
representatives, they have a right to question their prime minister, and I am hoping that sometime in our future we could start making records of our cabinet meeting. Maybe not immediately, but at some point in the future, those records need to be open to the
to
eyes
the
of the
public.
people of the country. Maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 20 years, maybe it's 25 years.
No,
But
that's too much. That's too far. That's too
well,
far.
right now we don't have anything.
10 or 15
Right
years would be more than enough because
No, I
most
understand,
party now, most party go in and out of government within 15 years.
yeah, but I'm saying right now we don't have anything, and we need to figure out a mechanism of having that document, because a lot of
That's how you know what they're
decisions
doing, and then you can
lots of
demand
decisions
accountability.
are made in secret and in
Mhm.
self-service and without the interests of the people, and there's no way to
And
even examine these decisions or even
and
understand
some of
why.
them lock us in for 20, 30 years,
Yeah, we
different kind
don't
of
even
contract that we can't
understand
get out of.
we don't even understand why we're in the predicament we are because of the decisions
Mhm.
that were made. And so we need to start recognizing, thinking, and setting up mechanism that will allow us to have access the
they won't,
decision makers
they
of our
won't
country.
facilitate us with the laws, sir. It will take them to facilitate us with those laws, to put them on the book, to validate what the
Yeah,
Constitution requires of them. But they won't do that.
well, they won't do it
That's the
voluntarily.
trouble.
No government ever provide the restriction on itself. They
Mhm.
they may choose to do it for a minute, but we have to grab that minute when they're so vulnerable or so appeasing to do it.
To the point that you had mentioned earlier about these kind of programs elucidating and instigating the public's involvement, that's a very prescient fact, because long before now, we never used to have that ability. But now, with the internet as it is, a lot of people are doing the same thing we are doing here on this particular platform, and they're all demanding accountability and putting pressure on the government. And a lot of people are listening to those programs and are commenting on them and are getting wise to whatever is it that the government is doing that needs to be, So this is another way of, by fact checking them, you put them on the spot and you create tough situations for them, to the point where the man in the talk right now that they get rid of Bunna. The next one is Jules. That Jules is talking about to the Prime Minister. Even though the Prime Minister said Jules is best buddy, well, not best buddy, but a good buddy. And Jules say in a good body with the Prime Minister. So the man in a good body, but only as far as you could use and throw, no?
Yeah.
What else to read another little piece of this thing before we run out of time? If we allow, oh shucks, we don't pass it already.
Yeah, we passed our time already.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Would you mind if I indulge for another 10 minutes? Carry it over for another 10 minutes?
I have to log off now because I have a dinner.
Okay. Okay. Then I'll just leave the rest for another occasion. Then.
Okay.
Do you want to take maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then I take for you to do a closing remark, just an overview, no?
Okay.
In terms of the festivities and the holidays and the independence and the 10th of September and so on. And then I'll just take another 2 minutes after that. Maybe the total use maybe another total 5 minutes, so you could we could close it down at that, no? At that point.
Okay.
Well, ahead, are you?
Well, again, good evening to our public. We know we have a broad spectrum of listeners in Belize and across the diaspora. And I want to say, as we approach this, our 44th anniversary of our independence, that we thank God for the blessings He has given us as a country, as a people, and for the protection He have afforded us, even in times when we ourselves may not have been wise and prepared and acting with purpose in what we must do to protect ourselves, our families, and our country. That source of protection has been there for us. And so I just ask that we urge our leaders to have that same recognition that they, from the job they chose, they have the obligation that they must protect our country, our sovereignty, and our citizens, and that not for political spite or any should they just be handing us over to a source that we consider such actions as betrayal, and we consider it against our Constitution, we consider it against our civil rights and all those. And as we head into this independence, we just pray for continuous blessing and mercy. And we pray that as a people, we will start understanding and start coming together, because on the eve of our independence, we were not together. Today, as a people, we are still not together. I don't know what recognition it will take to bring us together, but as a people, we need to start making that move. And our government and our opposition party and all those efforts need to be made. I'm not sure that wearing blue to the Prime Minister's ball was the answer to coming together, but we do need to start recognizing our growth and our continued engagement with each other, so that we can become that true one Belizean people and nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morrison. That was very gracious of you and very lucid in the way you presented those points. And I think that I'll just piggyback on some of your comments in saying that in my 2 minutes for my closing comments, that it would be maybe one of the best things that our leaders can do for us, especially on the days like these, during the time of national fervor and patriotism and things like those. Um, I wish that us Belizeans, both at home and abroad, because we are a small little speck on the face of this earth, and this little earth is a small little speck, for we solar system and we solar system, a small speck in the rest of the universe, trillions of stars. So we should be grateful and happy to have the privilege to have been given the opportunity of life in the first place. But I think we should also be grateful and do the best we can to make the world a better place, or the better place that we would like for it to be, especially as in regards to our own beliefs. And all I would like to ask the Prime Minister currently and the executive members, cabinet members, and the parliamentarians, both House of Representatives and Senate, and the Belizean people at large, please, let's move forward with a sense of purpose and dedicate ourselves to try and make Belize a better place than the way we found it when we first came, so that we can pass it on to future generations in a much better situation. And let's move the country economically forward, socially forward, educationally, health-wise. There's a lot of things that we could be doing a lot better than we're currently doing. And we need to stop being slothful. So I'll piggyback on your last statement, like you said, Mr. Morrison. Let's hope and pray and wish that Belize and Belizeans, being a prayerful country at that, will see the need to step to the next level and do better for ourselves, our family, our friends, and our country. And I would like to say with that, thanks again, Mr. Morrison, for gracing us with your presence tonight. You helped to make the program a little better than it probably would have turned out, because I would have been there just rattling on. And I wish you the best, and God bless you and the rest of the family, sir.
Good
night, Belizeans at home and abroad. We're gone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, sir. Okay.